Here's what we're looking at. This is the brake master cylinder and brake booster on the channel icon truck. And as you can see, got some brake fluid coming out down here, and the reservoir, well, actually the whole master cylinder has a built-in reservoir, and it looks like it's wet with brake fluid. These lines look really crusty. I don't know what the chance of getting those off of there without twisting them off is going to be, but hopefully we can break those loose without damaging the lines. If not, it looks like they were replaced previously, and we can hopefully shorten them and reflare them with a new nut. So we're going to try to get those off of there. Wow. Well, I was really impressed, but as you can see, it just broke off. There, at one point in time, we're bent down. So, definitely gonna have to cut that and reflare it. This one's probably the same way. You can see it takes a sharp angle. It's like something was pushed on them or forced them to bend down. You see how that sprayed out of there like that? I think that was part of our problem. The brakes seem to always be dragging. It's like the piston inside here isn't fully releasing or springing back, and it's holding pressure on the brake line. So it's a good thing we're replacing this. Moved inside now, and this here, the camera's actually resting against it. This is our brake pedal right here, and this spring clip holds our brake light switch on, and that rod up there is the rod that goes through the brake booster and connects to the master cylinder. So you need to pull this spring clip, remove our brake light switch, and undo those 4 bolts up there. There's our spring clip. Tight squeeze in here. This guy should just slide right off. Here's one of the bushings. Okay, so this is your brake switch. Slide it on this end, full circle on this end. There's one of the bushings. I'm going to save that because I don't know if the new brake booster has it. And the other one somewhere in the floorboard. So now I need to remove these 4 bolts, and then the whole brake booster and master cylinder should come off. Removed the vacuum line that was on here and tucked it down over there. We got all 4 bolts off of the inside, and this whole unit should come off of here. It's a little snug. Doesn't want to give it up. Come on. Ah, there we go. Woo! Didn't want to give it up. Look at this beauty. This is a brand new brake booster. The one that we removed was kind of a junkyard piece together. The old one, the outer shell and the inner diaphragm was basically 2 units. The inner diaphragm was leaking really bad and ended up making one good one out of 2 new ones. And now we got a whole brand new one. So this is going to definitely be an upgrade for this truck. Make sure I don't pinch any of my wires. Weasel this guy in there. Alright, that's pretty easy. Welcome back inside. All the bolts for the master cylinder are snugged up. The flange nuts that came on it did work. Now I just need to attach the actuating rod to the brake booster and reinstall our brake light switch. I'm going to be honest with you folks, I had to go back and review the footage because I forgot how this bushing went in here. But the bushing with the flange goes in first, so you put that in your actuating rod, slide that over and not too far like I just did. Oh boy, it's not working out very good for me. So you want the flange bushing on the actuating rod, and then you want to put your brake sensor on, which the slotted side goes. There we go. Oh, what a nightmare. Okay. That was way more painful than it needed to be, but you get the idea. There's a plastic washer inside against the pedal, your brake sensor with the slot on the inside, your black flanged bushing that's in the actuating rod itself, and then on the outside you have the white plastic washer. Now the trick is only slide the shaft on enough so you can wrap the opened slotted end of the brake sensor around the shaft and then over the end of the shaft, then slide it on the rest of the way, throw your washer on and your spring clip. Yay, it still worked. I believe I need these adapter fittings to go to the brake line that's on the truck. So this could get interesting. Look at that. Yeah. I did mention it earlier, but even if I was going to reuse these, I always go straight to vice grips on flared fittings or line fittings on old brake lines like this. If these had any chance of coming off of there, they would have came off, but I think the fact that the line was bent right at the fitting is what really hosed us. Clean some of the corrosion off of these lines with a little sandpaper here. Sure we go back far enough where it's not corroded too much. Good news is I haven't had to make brake lines in so long. My cutter was not in my toolbox where it usually is, or with the flaring tool. It's not one of my favorite things to do. There we go. I hope that's not too bent for the tube nut. I'll have to see. I might have to try to straighten that out. So on this, you obviously have the different sizes for different sizes of tubing, and 3/16. Then you have your die. Now it's been a long time since I used this, so this opens up. Set it on there, and I believe you use the die as a height reference. So how far it's supposed to stick out. As I was saying, the die has a step on it. I believe the step, or the shouldered section, is the height gauge. So you want your tube to protrude out the die that amount. Press the handle. These wing nuts are designed to use that to tighten the die, or tighten this on your line. So you get that all nice and tight. Then you take your die, you stick it inside the tool, or inside the tube. Oh boy. So you have your press centered in your little mandrel, and you just want to tighten this up. You want to do that until it bottoms out, basically. And you can see your line. It's mushroomed down. Then you want to put the tool so the cone is centered in the center of the line, and then tighten it up again. The first step squeezes it down like a mushroom, and now it's going to put the bevel on it. Fatal error. I did not put the tube nut on. So that was just a practice run. Don't do that. This needs to be on the other side. Stupid. This is a problem. The guide on the end of my tool broke off in the tube. So it's in the tube still. Not for sure what to do now. Well, sometimes things don't work out your way. So I tried to drill out that old piece. No way that was working. And this is when the simple brake line job goes over to the lathe. So this piece is hard. I don't have hard drill bits, but I did squeak a drill bit through there, and then after I was through, I actually cut a piece of the drill bit off and used that as the pilot guide. So cut off that end, that the old die was stuck in, and now we're going to try it again. See if we can. Oh boy. Yeah. There's my drill bit. Son of a. Yeah. Yeah, I just buried it in there. Man. Hey everybody, welcome back. It's a couple days later after we completely foobarred the brake flaring tool, and we're getting back on this brake booster and master cylinder replacement for the channel icon truck. I got the replacement master cylinder here in the bench vise, and I'm going to bench bleed it per the instructions. I've never done it like this, but it came with 2 plastic plugs, and the directions indicate fill up your reservoir until you see fluid dripping out of the ports. Install these guys securely into the ports, and then depress the piston, actuating it about an inch of travel per stroke until you can no longer move it and you no longer see bubbles populating the reservoir. So we're going to give it a go and see what happens. Well, that was cool. I just shot brake fluid all over the shop. I got it coming out of the rear brakes really good, but nothing on the front brakes. Well, I'll be. A little fountain of brake fluid there. So I don't really trust just pushing past the plastic, so I'll loosen them. Yeah, because I got some air in that. Push down on the plunger as far as I can. Tighten them. And I think we're good. Pop our pretty reservoir back on. All right, this is now bench bled and ready to go back on the truck. Got the old-fashioned electric corded 1/2-inch impact wrench that came with all the other old tools that I found at Grandpa's house. See what you do. Look at that. only reason I did that is I wanted to use these flanged nuts instead of the regular nuts that they came with the new Mastercylinder. Okay, I already went ahead and I have a new section of line here, brake line, 3/16, and I put a new end on it with my new flaring tool die, and just loosely attached it down there to the distribution block so it's out of the way. And now we're going to go ahead and put the Mastercylinder on, manipulate this line around, cut it, and then put a new end on the top so we can attach it to the Mastercylinder. Going to put a little grease on the actuator rod here where it pushes on the piston, and then a little on the threads just in case we need to take this off again. Line her up. Okay, it's good to go. Now I need to take our new line, route it away from the steering shaft, and also I'm going to give it a little bit of a loop for flex and cut it off and get her back into the Mastercylinder. Okay, that's close enough until we cut it and get it in the actual Mastercylinder. This probably isn't, I don't even know if this is really needed. The old one probably put a little coil in it because the length was wrong. But I like to think it gives you a little bit of forgiveness, you know, in case the body flexes a little bit in reference to the frame. So it gives you a little compliance. That way you're not pulling right on your fittings. So I like it. I've seen it in older vehicles, so we're going to put it back in there. Now we need to get our adapter fitting here on the Mastercylinder, measure our line, cut it, and reflare it. Okay, I had to take it off because I was just struggling to get down there, and awkward angle, and I'm not very good at this. So what I found is the line, even though you can clamp it in the die, is ever so crooked. So when you would squish it down to mushroom it, it would be offset to one side or another. And I also found that I was clamping it too hard, and with that other harder steel line, I was clamping it too hard with the press, and I believe that's what made my die break off. I was just cranking it down too hard. It was maybe a little crooked. It didn't have, material didn't have anywhere to go, and it just wedged in around the little pilot of the guide. So this one I took off and did outside of the vehicle, and this is the way it's supposed to look. Nice little mushroom. We just need to do the double flare. So now just this part's shoving that cone down inside the fitting, actually making the sealing surface. Come on, get up there. And that's how she's supposed to look. She looks good. Finally, let's get this thing on here. So I'm going to snug it up here on top and leave it loose where it goes to the diverter block. That way we can kind of bleed it before it goes into that block, hopefully. Now, trick with these, I suck at line fittings too. It's very, very important you don't cross thread this. So one trick to do is you get your light all messed up. One trick is you take the fitting and then the flare is what seals it. You push it down on that inverted flare in there and it helps position the line so you can start your nut. I never loosened this line down at the diverter block, so we'll bleed this one right here before we move on to bleeding it. That was incredibly difficult, mainly in part to my poor performance with the flaring tool. I haven't used this in several years. It's definitely not my area of expertise. But I will say, after damaging it, and I believe the biggest problem, as mentioned earlier, was the line was a little crooked, wasn't 100% straight inside this tool, which I thought it would be if it was clamped in this thickness, but it was ever so slightly crooked. And that steel line was really hard to form, and it just didn't have anywhere to go when you pressed it in here, and I pressed it in too hard. So those two things, the line was a little crooked in the tool, and it was pressed too hard and didn't have anywhere to go inside the die, so it went crooked and broke my tool. So don't press too hard, you'll break your tool. This replacement line that we put in for the front brakes, that's a special alloy brake line, and that I believe is a copper nickel line, and it is way easier to bend, way easier to form. And as you saw, I was hand bending it and manipulating it around. Tell me what you think about that. I use that everywhere on this truck. I believe all the rear brake lines from the diverter here to the back and on the rear differential are all this copper alloy line. It's actually, I believe, part of the whole kit that we bought, or at least a bulk roll of it. So let's get this thing bled. Hopefully we have brakes. We're doing this. We had to get the wife to help with bleeding the master cylinder. I'm scared. I'm concerned. Believe me, it was a last-ditch effort. Here it goes. Down. Up. Down. Up. Down. Up, down, up, down, up. Okay, I think we did it. Well done. Thank you. Okay, we're at the passenger side rear brakes. It's our wheel cylinder. Just remove the little dust cover, and hopefully we can crack this loose. This is a, for the most part, brand new wheel cylinder. Replace this. What the world is this? Well, that's cute. It's metric. Alright, got the metric line wrenches now, and 10 millimeters seems too big. I don't know what's happening. 10 millimeters too big. I think it's 3/8, but the hex must be just slightly oversized. I don't understand. I really don't know what the heck is going on here. We'll just have to do that, I guess. 3/8 is too small, 10 millimeters too big. I really don't know a size in between. Line on the bleeder screw loose, a little bit of fluid in the cup. I'm gonna go pump the brake. See any noticeable bubbles in there? I'm just gonna try to snug this up before taking the boot off. Okay. This is a crappy bleeder screw, man. Okay, now I'll do the same thing on the driver's side. Let's see if the 3/8 fits. Nope. It's gonna be the same junk as the other side. Really loose 10 millimeter. That's a little better than the other side. It's like the other side was undercut a little. Okay, let's move on to the front. Okay, we're up here at the front. This is the inside of the brake caliper, and the bleeder screw is in between here and the universal knuckle for the front. Oh, actually, no, that's the steering knuckle that the ball joint goes in. But you can access that as long as you can get the bleeder screw loose. So we got our bleeder cup just above this. Here's the line, nipple on. I'm gonna go ahead and pump the brakes. I don't see any bubbles in there. Did you guys see any big bubbles in there? The line looks clear now. Okay, only one thing left to do on the brake booster here. The vacuum port needs hooked up, and it has a new fitting in there. So I'm going to try to remove the old fitting and just slide it on the new one. Figures. Got it out, but I dropped my pliers in the 4x4 shaft. Come on. Right on. Look at that. Shiny. Shiny. Ooh. New parts. All right. Okay, everyone. We got a new brake master cylinder and a new brake booster on the old Channel Icon truck, the flatbed, aka Flat Thunder truck. So hopefully she stops a little bit better and doesn't squeak anymore. If you paid attention at the beginning when I broke the line off of the old master cylinder, pressure sprayed out quite a bit, and I believe the pressure was not releasing on the front brakes, so they were pinched and dragging all the time under a light pressure. So hopefully this new master cylinder and brake booster got everything all fixed up. All of the lines are bled, and I think we're ready to take her for a test drive. We did it! The flatbed goes and stops way more like it's supposed to now. That brake, master cylinder, and booster really took care of the problems that we were having. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Leave your questions and comments in that section below. And don't forget to step on that subscribe button over there on your way up. Thanks for watching, everyone. What a mess down here. I gotta get this cleaned up. You get out of here.